Right now, Christmas Ludmilla has the entire community in shambles because of how hard she hits, and it's crazy. She honestly might be the hardest hitting character in the game and possibly top 3 unit in the game. I would still say Red Hood and Modernia are better, but I wouldn't be anywhere but okay with her being at number 3. In today's video, we're going to be doing a complete guide on Christmas Ludmilla, talking about what to do with her in terms of should you be getting dupes, how to build her with overload gear, her best cube, skill priorities, team building, and some gameplay at the end of the video. So stay tuned for all of this. Also, make sure you guys subscribe and like if this video was helpful, and let me know any mistakes that I made in this video that you guys can find down below and corrected by the community. So the first thing that everyone wants to know is, do you need dupes? And the answer is no, but I would recommend dupes, right? Of course, when it comes to any DPS in any games, the more dupes, the better they're going to be. That's just common sense. But you don't need dupes for this character. She's not someone who needs to be max limit broken to do damage, right? My Ludmilla right now is barely invested and is already out damaging my Modernia and my Red Hood, which is quite crazy to say, right? So you don't necessarily need dupes, just getting dupes is going to make it much better since obviously she is a main DPS. In terms of her skills, I'm not gonna essentially read her entire kit again, but her whole thing is after she lands 60 normal attack, she's going to be doing additional damage depending on if she's attacking an enemy with a core or if she's just hitting an enemy flat out, right? Her whole thing is really 60 normal attacks, big damage, and even just normal attack damage increase heavily too, I'm not gonna lie. I would recommend to focus on her skill 1, her burst skill, and then her skill 2. The reason why I want you to focus on her skill 1 is because that's where her main damage output is going to be coming from. There's no restrictions there. You just need to land 60 normal attacks, and with a machine gun, that's going to be more than enough for you to do. Not to mention, she does increase damage taken to the enemy she is attacking, and she literally does rebuild the ammo capacity she has, right? Or at least she reloads a certain amount of rounds for that ammo capacity. So skill 1 is definitely what you want to, focus on. The Queen's Gaze, which is skill 1, that's what you want to focus on. The second best thing to focus on, in my opinion, is the Guiding Lantern, which is the burst skill. And the reason why I say that is because the reload speed is actually 20 seconds and not 10 seconds. And by having a massive reload speed for that long, it's going to be very, very helpful towards this character. The attack buff is 10 seconds, which is fine, but it doesn't change the fact you having a 20-second reload speed buff that big is going to be essential for this character, right? Because there are definitely times where with team comps, if you don't have the max ammo capacity, which we're going to talk about more in a bit, she is going to be reloading during the full burst, and it's really not that great. But if you can give her the reload speed, it wouldn't matter depending on your build. And then obviously the last skill is Snowstorm. You definitely want to build this skill up as well. The only thing is this skill gives you the guaranteed crit rate when you enter the full burst, but the additional damage you get from this is when attacking the core. Thankfully, majority of the enemies in this game have cores, it seems like, but then again, a lot of the enemies don't as well. So it's really like an inconsistent thing. In terms of what you're doing a lot in the game, you're going to be fighting cores a lot of the time. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, I mean, it's just still based on if you're attacking somebody with a core and if you're not attacking somebody with a core. So overall, your priority should be skill 1, then burst skill, then skill 2. In terms of the cube to use on her, I would say her best cube in slot is the Bastion cube or the Resilience cube. I honestly would put the Bastion cube over the Resilience cube just because, again, she has pretty good reload speed herself. And then again, when it comes to the max ammo capacity, which we will talk about soon, you really want to have as much bullets coming back in as possible. And with the Bastion cube, that's going to provide that for you on top of the skill 1 she has where she reloads, a certain amount of rounds for the ammunition. So Bastion cube over Resilience, but you can have one of the two. Wingman, you can have that on as well, but it's really up to you. I would just recommend Bastion or Resilience. But if you don't have any of the two, well, you have those two. But if you don't want to use any of the two, Wingman is another option you can use as well. In terms of overload gear, first, should you give this character overload gear? And the answer is yes. She is a main DPS. Again, arguably the hardest hitting character in the game, if not one of the hardest hitting characters in the game. So giving her as much investment as possible is mandatory. In terms of the effects, I would recommend to go for 4 max ammo capacity effects 4 attack percent effects, and then 2 elemental damage effects and 2 crit damage effects. Or you can have 4 elemental damage effects and 4 crit damage effects. It's really up to you. But the reason why you want 4 max ammo capacity effects is because, again, you wanted to have as many bullets as possible. And thankfully, through overload gear, you get a massive amount of max ammo capacity percentages. On 4 pieces across the board, she's going to have well over 1,000 bullets, and that's going to be great for her. Reload speed will no longer matter as much, especially with her re-giving herself the ammo capacity. On top of the Bastion Cube as well, having a lot of bullets is going to be very good for this character. Having the attack percent 4-way around is also going to help this character a lot, because her first and second skill off of final attack, which will include the attack percentage from overload gear. So it's kind of a staple to have those two. And then for the elemental damage and crit damage, the reason why I'm even saying crit damage is because she gives herself a big crit rate buff, which is going to be very nice. And because she's a machine gun, she's going to crit very often. So having that crit damage is going to help out with the damage. And then elemental damage is going to be very good when you're fighting bosses, especially with the core effect thing that she gets for her skill 2. It's really, really good to have one of the two. But I honestly would recommend 4 max amp capacity, 4 attack percent, and then 2 elemental damage or 2 crit damage. But again, you can have 4 elemental damage if you wish, or 4 crit damage if you wish. You can even give her crit rate if you want to. I don't really think that's necessary, but it's probably better to give her 2 and 2 elemental damage and crit damage. In terms of her best partners, now she is a main DPS, so she doesn't necessarily have partners that you need to run with her, but there are characters that will help her heavily. One, the new Christmas Mika. She isn't in the game yet, but after Mika lands a certain amount of bullets, she will increase max ammo capacity continuously the entire game. That's going to be very beneficial for someone like Ludmilla. It's really, really going to be very mandatory for you to pull that Mika if you are going to start maining the Ludmilla, because she's really, really helpful for that. If you don't want to pull for that, it's fine, because everybody has, hopefully, the bunny girls. Probably not. I would understand if you don't have them. But the bunny girls, right? Noir's whole thing is when you enter a full burst, she will reload your magazine and increase your magazine. So she's definitely a character you want to have paired up with her. You can have Admi paired up with her too for reload speed if you do need that. Try to shy away from Privity, honestly, because you don't want to lower the max ammo capacity with this character. If you do have insane max ammo capacity and you don't find it a problem, by all means use Privity with her, because Privity is still giving a massive reload speed buff and a massive attack buff. But if the max ammo capacity decrease is a problem for you, it's damn near cut in half, then don't run Privity. But if it isn't, by all means run Privity. But essentially you want to run her with characters that are either buffing her damage, obviously since she's a main DPS. You want to run her with characters that are increasing her max ammo capacity, since her whole thing is to have a lot of ammo. Or you want to increase her with reload speed buffers, right? Just so that when you do reload speed, it's damn near instant, because the more bullets you have, the longer it's actually going to take to reload, I believe. So it makes sense to have reload speed as well. Just keep that all in mind. So one of those 3 categories, you should have them with Ludmilla and you should be good. I would again highly recommend to have the Mika or the bunny girls with her at all times. You could have the schoolgirls with her at all times too for insane damage, but probably the bunny girls or Mika. But it's up to you guys, and I'm going to show you guys some gameplay of her with different team comps so you guys can get an idea of some teams that you might want to run with her. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Definitely let me know if this was a helpful video for you guys. And yeah, I'm gonna just let the gameplay come in and all that stuff.